Alright, I am back with another Borderlands 4 video. This one may be a little less positive than some of the ones I've done in the past. This is not about performance, nor about anything Randy Pitchford has said recently. This is about some things that are wrong with the actual game. I'll say up front, I love the game. I still think it's the best game in the series. I've got 105 hours in. Keep in mind that it's with a week of early access for the review period. But needless to say, I like it a lot. I've got a level 50 Rafa. I've got a level 46 Vex that I'm about to take to 50. I'm going to take a break, leveling new characters after that, and just farm for a bit. But yeah, so I really like it. It's just, there are a long list of things that I think could be better. Nothing like crazy major, but I wrote an article about this, but I'm going to go through it for my YouTube folks who may not read all my stuff, which is probably a lot of you. Okay, so start with inventory default listing. You may have noticed that every time you go in your inventory and try to check out your new gear or get your, switch over your old gear, it defaults back to sort by manufacturer. At least that is for me, but I've heard other people say that too, so I think it's just how it is for everybody. You can say sort by level, which is usually what I want, and then every time you go back, it'll be sort by manufacturer, which is very annoying. That almost seems like a bug to me. Like, I don't know why you would do that on purpose. It makes no sense. So I'm hoping that's fixed. What definitely is a bug is when you try to mark things as trash, but you have to scroll down to do it. If everything is on one page, it's okay, but as soon as you have the scroll thing, especially with guns, that's usually when you have the most. If you hit trash, it will trash an item to things above what you're actually trying to pick, which, unless you have favorited something or unless you notice, can be very bad if you're selling things you didn't mean to. That's just a straight up bug that needs to be squashed immediately, because otherwise, besides messing around with that, you're sort of just going to go in and either manually sell stuff or just throw stuff on the ground, which I end up doing half the time. In terms of actual loot, I said this on Twitter and that got a lot of views, a lot of likes. So I think this is a pretty common idea. Too many charge up weapons. Too many charge up weapons. It feels like at least half the weapons you get have some sort of charge up mechanic to them that is based on the order parts and based on Ripper parts. The Ripper stuff where it's like you charge it before it goes full auto is not terrible. It's okay, because on something like an AR or an SMG, it's not too bad. I don't really like it on a shotgun most of the time, sometimes a pistol, but it's not as bad as the order one where you can charge up to shoot a bunch of shots at once, which outside of a sniper rifle is not great. It does not feel great. And then if you don't use that system, it turns your gun into a single shot, whatever, a single shot AR, single shot SMG. It feels terrible. And what that does is, because there are so many order parts on all of this stuff, it appears so often that so many weapons in the game end up being single fire, including a lot of legendary ones, which is it's very annoying. So I'm really hoping that they can reduce the amount of order modifications on this, so we don't have as many charge up or single fire guns. It's really overrepresented right now. Less of a big deal, I think, is the fact that so many underbarrels, I'd say 70% of underbarrels you come across are Atlas trackers, where you shoot a tracking round and that gives all bullets, a pathway toward whatever you're shooting at. I mean, it's not that hard to be accurate in the first place. I know this is a old series thing, but unless you have that one item that gives you 30% more damage if you're shooting stuff on an Atlas tracker, it's just kind of annoying. There's so many cool underbarrel things that they've added in this game, to the point where at 105 hours, I'm still finding new ones, which I guess is good in terms of some loot thing to chase or whatever. But it's a little overtuned, I think. And I think there's too many Atlas trackers. There's shotgun ones a lot, but the shotgun ones are pretty good and less annoying. So I'm okay with the shotgun ones. The grenade launcher ones are actually very good, but you see way less of those. I just see way too many Atlas trackers. In UVHM missions, Ultimate Vault Hunter missions, Not great in a few ways. One of the most annoying things is that in a lot of these missions, there's no way to skip like the boring parts, like the one you have to do to get to Ultimate Vault Hunter mode in the first place. It's literally when you're in the rich people city, Carcadia. I think it's Carcadia, where you have to go around and like turn the water on and like turn the power on and like literally no combat for like 10 minutes. And then in other missions, there's just a lot of dialogue where you're just sitting around doing nothing. And so what should just be like kind of a combat focused experience, it's literally the whole mission. They don't cut anything out of it, which makes it it's not very fun, especially if you're trying to farm it over and over again. You just got to sit through these boring parts or play them way too much. And I think they need to do some editing there. On top of that, there are some just really annoying, not terribly fun modifiers for these missions. The one that people see right away is the one that turns every enemy into a vortex when they die. So half the time you're just dashing away from vortexes before you get pulled in. And if you get pulled in, like you will get blown up and often just die. So either you're just plinking things from really far away or you're just constantly dodging out of these things. Every enemy has it. So it's just really annoying and not something I think is a good addition. Later in the game, there's something that's a headshot only modifier, which, God, yeah, not great. So there's a difference between like hard mechanics and just bad mechanics, and I think a lot of these are bad and need something of a rework. Moving on, this is more post-game stuff. Level 30 character skip. I was really excited to hear that this was a thing because going through the entire campaign again was not my favorite part of past Borderlands games. But here, this needs some work. It's just a very strange system where you show up at like Claptrap's base at level 30, the campaign is done, and the map is just completely empty. So you're just, quote unquote, exploring, but in doing so, you got to re-find every fast travel point. And then once you show up on the island, you're in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode to start with. So that means either you got to turn that difficulty down, or you're going to be running into enemies for a while where you don't have a build. Yes, you have like 30 points, but that's not really enough to do a real build, especially when you don't have any items to complement it. Full builds, eventually 50 points and stuff, but also you've been building up an arsenal, a shield, a class mod, a weapon mod to kind of synergize, whereas here you have nothing. You have a bunch of random blue weapons and gear that you're going to get from these boxes that they give you for skipping the campaign, and that's it. But if you're playing in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, you're just going to sometimes you run into enemies that are like insanely high level, just like randomly. But even the ones that are like a little bit above you, if you normally be able to kill them in another game, they just become bullet spongy to the point of like absurdity. And I found myself just continually running out of ammo even to try and kill them because you don't have any SDUs. It was so unfun. I just stopped after like an hour and I just started over the campaign as Vex. And part of the reason I did that is because I wanted to hear all the Vex dialogue lines and like get to know her as a character. Other than that, it's like the side missions and then you're just shouting things in combat. And I don't have any real regrets about that. Granted, it took me a long time to get to level 30, but I think the character skip thing needs a bit of modification there. Specialization costs. This is the specialization tree that you get once you get to Ultimate Vault Hunter mode or once you beat the campaign, one of those. It costs, what is it, like 5,000 iridium to respec your specialization tree. That is a ton of iridium unless you are farming like the highest of Ultimate Vault Hunter modes. I don't see a reason this needs to be like such a thing. You can respec your actual skill tree for some amount of money, not a ton of money. And it's really easy to do that. I've respec 30 times or whatever. But this iridium cost, this tree isn't like even that big of a deal, but if you're trying to experiment with builds, it's really annoying because if you want to switch to like a melee build on Rafa or something, and you want the benefits that tree gives you with the 40 points you have or whatever, you got to pay $5,000. Oh, I don't actually like this melee build. I'm going to switch back, and that's another $5,000. This just seems like a iridium sync for the point of being an iridium sync. I don't really even think iridium is like, I don't even think you need it. Like it costs iridium, a lower amount of iridium to do the big boss weekly things. And like, I don't really see the point here. And it's just sort of annoying that makes me want to just stay with kind of the gun based build or whatever that I have rather than experimenting with other things. And I don't think that needs a cost that's different than the skill tree respec. Shared specialization points. This is something that was sort of confusing when you got to the end game. I started as Vex, and I'm like, where's my 25 points that I already earned? I actually talk to, whenever I tweet, I kind of get Gearbox people showing up in my replies, and the director of the game said that they did that because some people were complaining in past games that they didn't want this big power boost when they started a new character because they thought it was kind of negating a lot of the difficulty. And like, I can kind of see that, but I don't like the fact that you're not working toward overall account power because like nothing is shared. Like even, SDUs aren't shared, which isn't unusual. Well, you start with like an overfilled bank, which is very annoying, but I guess you're farming gear for each other sometimes. But I would like an option to share these points. And if people want to turn the bonuses off, I guess that's okay if they're really wanting more difficulty, but I don't really like the system that you're not making progress with any sort of account-based stuff. Oh, I didn't even put this in the article. I should probably add it. The fact that I think this is broken where you get so few class mods for your class. Like, I think it's even less than 25%, I'm pretty sure, in terms of like you're getting class mods for all the other classes as opposed to you. I've gotten a number of legendary ones. I've gotten 0 for the character I was actually using them on. That doesn't seem right to me. If that's a purposeful decision to get people to play other characters, I think that still sucks, and they need to change the ratios there. The grapple hook. I've been kind of vocal about how I don't really like the grapple hook. However, what I hate the most about it is that when the little circle appears to like let you know where it is, but you can't grab it yet, which is like okay if you're just getting to like a new high point and you're climbing. Not okay if you're doing like a big jump over a chasm or you're in the middle of combat, because it's like a very, very slim margin between when the circle appears and when you can hit the button. So even if it's like 2 feet away, you whiff a lot, and like it's very annoying. And I just wish if you saw the circle, you can grab the thing. The end. And the last one here, I'm sort of mixed on this one. I've heard this a lot where people want the ability to fast travel to all the Moxie Encore stations rather than needing to go through, the whatever chunk of the map or whatever facility to get there. They just want to teleport directly there. I get that. I do think it's kind of annoying to have to do this a lot. And like, if you want to go back to farming this boss, you're going to do the whole thing again and drive down there and fight some people. That said, I kind of get why Gearbox does this, because if the entire game just becomes warping from boss to boss to boss to boss and you're doing 0% of the rest of the game, I don't think that's great. I think to encourage that, I think they need more kind of on-map endgame stuff that's useful. Those domes are a start. Oh, I gotta put this in too. The domes. I love the domes when they appear. I don't think they appear enough, but the domes, when you back up out of them or you get knocked out of them, they instantly despawn the boss. That sucks. They need like a turn back now thing where the dome needs to be solid or something. I gotta add that too. But yeah, more domes, things like that. I don't know. Public events besides that, like, the enemies are moving against each other. We see that already sometimes, but and then this game needs more endgame stuff to begin with. I don't know. I can see both sides of that one, in that it's annoying, but it's also it makes sense in the current state of the game. Okay, so I'm gonna add a couple of those I forgot to this article, and then let me know more in the comments. I know I'm forgetting some. Even after 100 hours, like, things still kind of slip by you. And I'm wondering what's kind of annoying you guys that I missed here. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.